This video is going to be about divorce in the Shaytan series. And I wanted to make this video specifically about divorce because there's a hadith about it actually, where it goes something along the lines of, because I don't have my laptop here with me. So I think it says something like, verily Satan has or puts his throne on water, and the closest shayateen or devils or demons to him are the ones who cause the most tribulations to people. And then they come to him, so they tell him, oh, so we did this, we did that, right? So one of the shayateen comes to him and he says, I did this, I did that. And he says, you didn't do anything, you haven't done anything. And then the next one comes and he says, I did not leave this man until I separated him from his wife. So he embraces him, I think, and he says, you've done like the most harm, basically, something like that, right? But the point is, he puts a lot of value on this demon, on this shaitan that does that, because shaitan or iblis, Satan, knows exactly how bad divorce can be and how much it can damage society. So inshallah, we'll look up the hadith and I'll post it under this video just for the sake of clarity. And divorce is really bad. So there are many things that divorce can do to, on a personal level and on a sort of a familial level and on a societal level. On a personal level, obviously, you waste a lot of energy, a lot of emotions that you put into this marriage. You might leave with trust issues. You might leave with a lot of things, maybe abuse, right? Trauma, all of these things, right? Because in this channel, I like to talk about psychological things and sometimes link that to sort of spirituality and religion. But this is not really the worst part, I would say, about divorce, even though some divorces are not that bad. They just end in a very good way, in a very harmonious way, if that's a word. But the impact of bad divorce on the kids and on society is really profound and really bad. So within this video, there are many different topics that I can talk about, and I think in the future, inshallah, I'm going to make a divorce series where I'm going to talk about different aspects of divorce, right? So things that could happen when divorce happens is basically a single parent household, right? Whether that's a single mom raising the kids or a single dad, right? That in of itself has a lot of implications, a lot of problems in society. You get kids that are being raised by one parent, so they miss the other parent. So you develop things like what people commonly name these days, things like mommy issues, daddy issues, things like that. And obviously, if you're someone who's heard of those terms before, you're going to know the implications of that. So, for example, you get girls who were raised by a single mom and they don't even know what a good man is supposed to be like because they don't have a father, right? And then they develop these daddy issues, and then that attracts them to bad men, and then domestic abuse happens in the future, and then maybe even worse, right? A lot of things could happen because this girl was not blessed with a father, and some people call this, in a sort of a derogatory way, fatherless behavior, which I don't really like using, but that's what people say. And you'll see the impact of that on this girl's life. So she ends up with a bad man, and if she does, she's going to most likely end up with a bad man because she doesn't even know what a good man is like. Any man can come and lie to her, so that repeats the cycle, and then divorce happens, and so on and so forth, and society is ruined. And same thing, if the woman grew up without a mother, she could develop those what people call mommy issues, right? And this problem, the woman might have difficulties forming proper bonds with other women, so she could form distorted relationships with women, sometimes even dangerous. So there are many implications of that. And the same thing happens with men as well. So boys who grow up without a father and without a mother. So again, a man who's raised without a father, not all the time, but most of the time, will not know what a proper man is supposed to be like. So they're going to be bad examples to other men. For They're going to be harmful to other people, women, society, because they were not raised by a proper masculine religious man who tells them that this is right, this is wrong, and gives them sort of a moral compass to work with, right? And same thing, if the man grew up without a mother, then his relationship with women can sometimes be a bit hard. He wouldn't necessarily know what a woman is like. Growing up with a mother is living with a woman, right? So knowing how she thinks, how she feels, what it just teaches you basic manners and how to deal with women, basically, right? But that man will grow up not knowing what women are like, so he's definitely going to form really bad connections with women, like not necessarily maybe over dependent, sometimes needy, sometimes maybe abusive. The list goes on and on. But the point is, this is just one subsection of divorce. So divorce is one problem, has a lot of different problems, and this is one of the subsections, one of the problems, a subproblem, if you will, which is a single parent household. Not to mention, obviously, how stressful it is for like single moms, for example, to work a full-time job and raise the kids and be both the father and the mother, which is something really hard. And same thing for single dads, right? But at the end of the day, you can't really do it because a mother is not like a father. You can't really imitate that. I can't necessarily do what a mother can do, right? And same thing for a woman. She can't do what a husband is supposed to do, what a father is supposed to do. Well, she can try, but it's going to be very difficult because we follow role models, we follow examples, we don't follow speech, right? So I can tell you things, but if you don't see me doing it, right? If I'm not the father there present doing exactly what you need to do as my son, for example, you're never going to learn. It's all going to be theoretical, but you need to see this in action, right? You need to see it with your own eyes. So a stable household with a happy father, a happy mother, happy kids is essential for a successful society, is essential for a society that will flourish, that will make even, I don't know, more success in the world, more happy kids, right? More stable families. Essentially, it's just the nuclear family is very important, the nuclear unit, sorry, for a stable society. And divorce is huge. And obviously, that's just, as I said, one part of it. But divorce can have a lot of different problems as well. Financial loss. Some people, especially I think in the West as well, where people sign up like what they call, I think, a prenup. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I think they do that. And if you get divorced, you lose like, I don't know, half your money, whatever it is. It's just crazy stuff, man. And then that pushes people away from marriage because everyone's scared now, trust issues and things like that. And obviously, divorce is gonna give some people trauma, and I see this quite commonly with women, where they feel quite traumatized after a divorce. Like, oh, I don't want to go through this again. Might as well just be single, because men and men and men, and then that becomes a generalized sort of mentality about men in a depressive state. And unless she challenges those beliefs and tries to believe that not all men are like that, she again might spiral into that depressive state, and everything becomes bad, and all men are like that. And all. If you hear someone saying all, that raises a question mark, because I think I read something along the lines of depressive states, or like a depressed person leans towards generalizations, right? So if I'm like depressed, like, oh, everything sucks, man. I hate this. I don't know. Like, this is disgusting. You know what I mean? Like, you just like everything's bad because you're depressed. But if you're a more emotionally composed, calm, relaxed person, you can differentiate. Oh, like this is good. This is bad. I can sort of tell, right? So divorce pushes people into depression, obviously, if it was a bad divorce, right? And they can even hate the whole gender just because of it. And you can only imagine what this person is gonna do in terms of society, or being in society in terms of their effect on other people. They're going to be spreading this negative energy to everyone, and then that deters people even more from marriage, and then the cycle keeps going on. So yeah, and you waste a lot of years as well. So you get married young, whatever, you live, I don't know, say 5 years, and then you go through a divorce, and then you're like single at, I don't know, 30 or something. So you have to restart your life at that age. It's not shameful, it's not bad, it's nothing like that. Sometimes divorce is necessary, but the point is, when Shaytan causes that divorce through whispering to you, making you think bad thoughts about your partner, making you very skeptical, judgmental, harsh, just a very negative person to be around, right? Angry, right? Abusive, maybe even physically abusive, right? Shaitan pushes makes you enter that really negative state, and then obviously divorce happens, and then you go back to zero with nothing, right? So this is just talking about two people who are married without even kids in the equation, right? But if you have kids, it's going to be really, really hard. So we talked about the effect on single parents and the effects on two people without kids divorcing. But the kids themselves, we touched upon sort of mom issues and daddy issues, but the kids themselves, even if they don't develop those things, they're going to be obviously traumatized, harmed, sad about what happened, things like that. Especially if they see their parents arguing all the time, they're going to recreate that in the future. They're going to be like, oh, that's everything I know. All I know is that uh, married people argue, so they recreate that in the future. It's just like a very bad example, right? They don't have the ability to focus on their studies because they're always worried about this divorce thing, right? They constantly have bad memories. It's just a very negative psychological state to be in. I know I'm all over the place. I'm giving like random examples, but all I'm trying to say is the effect of divorce on people, on the married couple, and on the kids and on society is huge, is massive, right? Because divorce leads to a fragmented society. Divorce is going to cause society to be very weak, very fragmented, and that allows even enemies of society, people who want harm for the society, can even infiltrate that society very easily because it's not strong, it's not glued together, right? Because the nuclear unit is very, very, very important. And if you see a lot of the plans of very evil people who want bad for the world, they really focus on tearing down the family unit. They encourage the kids to revolt against their parents. They encourage the wife to hate her husband and the husband to hate his wife and all of that stuff, right? So, on the other hand, a society that's very strong because everyone's happily married, everyone's stable, everyone has kids, happy kids, that's a very successful society. And that society is a society that's going to breed a lot of good, create a lot of um, I don't know, inventions, a lot of progression in society. That society is going to be a nice, flourishing society, as opposed to a society full of problems, full of hate, um, yeah, full of negative energy. So the point is, Shaitan absolutely loves separating people, especially if the marriage was um, a stable, happy marriage with happy kids. Those kids may go on to become drug addicts, may repeat that abuse in the future with their future spouse, or I don't know, in more secular societies with their girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever that is. So yeah, it's very important to understand that divorce is not something to be taken lightly. Divorce should rarely happen, if that makes sense. I think I heard some crazy percentages of like 50 to 80% in some cities, stuff like that, of divorce. What is that? Like the man is losing all his money because they know the dowry and things like that in a Muslim society, losing his money, and then losing his energy, emotional energy, all the investment, all the focus, all the preparations, all of that is gone. Same for the woman. She's been, I don't know, prepping, buying stuff, clothes, whatever, and she begins to, I don't know, to get married, obviously, and she forms emotions, and then they become intimate, things like that, and then all that poof is gone, right? Because of Shaytan, it's gone, and she goes back to zero, he goes back to zero, and now she's a divorcee, and it might be even harder for her to get married again, even though I don't really believe in that, because Allah is the one who gets people married. So it's not about your asbab, your worldly sort of tools, right? Doesn't matter. Because a very beautiful woman, a single, young, beautiful woman might not be able to get married because Allah didn't will it, and vice versa, right? So let's not like discourage people, especially like women, older women, widows, right, divorcees, trying not to be negative and discourage these people from marriage, right? But the point is, they go back to zero, and they have to go through the process of processing those emotions, and that's without kids, right? So going through that is very intense, very hard, especially if it uh, goes to the point where courts are involved, right? Police, whatever, domestic violence, all of those things. I actually worked in a domestic uh, abuse helpline, which is really sad, man. I really hate seeing couples separate and divorce happening, because, you know, there's some people, unfortunately, shayateen from both humans and jinn. So shaitan is not necessarily just the demon, the jinni, like Iblis, like Satan. No, even people like us, humans, can be shayateen as well. And they can interfere and cause these problems between married people. So sometimes a small minor problem happens between the couple, and then the woman goes to her friends, female friends obviously, because we're Muslims, and they might tell her good things, good advice, and sometimes not. Sometimes they'll tell her like, "Oh, how do you let him do that? How do you let him say that?" Sure, sometimes that is warranted, but the point is, these charged conversations with a lot of negative energy, a lot of impulsivity, right? Go there and just tell him off. Don't let him say that to you. Whatever. Have more respect for yourself. All that. It's really stupid. Actually, uh, sort of a middle-aged woman called me about maybe a month ago. She wanted to, so she's a friend of my mother, and she wanted some advice, right, uh, on her relationship with her husband. Yeah, they've been married 20 years, I think, and she felt something was wrong, and he was not treating her well, things like that. And I told her, listen, like, let's first calm down. Let's not escalate. Like I was really trying to calm her down so the marriage doesn't go to the point of divorce, right? And then I told her like, oh, Allah has all the solutions. Always return to Allah. And your husband, he seems like a good man, but maybe he slipped up. Things like that, right? She told me that literally everyone else told her that she had to leave him. She went to, I think she told me like 4 psychiatrists maybe and psychologists, and they told her like, how do you even let him talk to you like that? Leave him right now. Go home right now and tell him off. Tell him that you can never talk to me like that. Sure, I'm not saying that it's okay, but all I'm saying is you have to be wise about it. You have to be patient. You have to be meticulous. You can't be emotional about these things, because you're ruining someone's marriage by saying these stupid things. So I told her, listen, like, obviously he can't disrespect you, and you have to. I think she's like 45, 50 maybe. You can't let him disrespect you. Like, put some boundaries. Well, things like that. Just common sense, right? Just general advice. But I also told her that the solution is with Allah. Get closer to Allah. This is trial and tribulation from Allah. So you repent and you get closer to Allah. Allah wants good from this. He doesn't want to harm you. Doesn't want to hurt you. Remember that his heart, your husband's heart, is in the hands of Allah. Things like that. Just a nice balance between put some boundaries and have more respect for yourself, because he was being a bit disrespectful, and also a bit of a positive note where, things will get better. He slipped up, he's making some mistakes, maybe this is uh, and it is a new attitude for him, right? She told me, so this is something new, he can improve, things like that. But she told me all the other psychiatrists, like psychologists, told her to literally just like end this relationship. And I told her, listen, you have a daughter and you have a life, you have a house, you living together for 20 years, you just are gonna end that like that? So this is where friends, and even her friends told her the same thing, right? So this is where friends can be bad, and you get advice from the wrong people that they might not necessarily want to ruin your marriage, but they can be very emotional and that can harm you and your kids. And they have, like if you get divorced, they are not going to benefit, and you're the one who's going to suffer, right? But obviously, if divorce is needed, is absolutely necessary and warranted, sure, you can go about it in a smart way, a calm way. But something like that, very emotionally charged event, go home and like scream at him and things like that, and tell him you can't disrespect me, whatever. Like, that's not going to solve anything. So that's when Shaytan comes to people through friends, through these experts, psychologists, psychiatrists, relationship experts, whatever, right? And they absolutely ruin people's lives. And what about her daughter, right? Now, after being, I don't know, 19 years old, her parents separate and she gets to live through that trauma and stuff like that. Like, I know in some selfish people are like, oh, just like divorce, as long as I'm happy, my kids will adjust and things like that. These people don't really care about their kids, honestly. But at the same time, I'm not saying to be very sacrificial and never go through divorce, because live for your kids all the time and be miserable. But as long as your kids are in an illusion of happiness, right? No, I'm not saying that either. All I'm saying is Shaitan wants divorce. If you put that in front of your eyes, you always realize that divorce is a massive goal for Shaitan to ruin societies. Then you'll begin to appreciate that things might not be that bad, but Shaitan will be exaggerating things for you. And the solution is always with Allah, and Allah has a solution for the problem. He can fix your partner, and there are many, many, many stories about Allah fixing someone else's partner because that person understood the message, right? Let's say this woman, she understood that this is a trial and tribulation from Allah. You want to fix this problem? Repent to Allah, ask Allah to guide my husband, and then Allah guides the husband, and things go back to normal, even better than normal. With the addition of being closer to Allah, so you win hereafter and this life as well. Actually, I don't even know if you're seeing me or seeing anything because it's quite dark in here, man. But yeah, I thought it was gonna be brighter than this, but it's quite dark to be honest. Um, yeah. So divorce is huge. It leaves a lot of psychological trauma on people. It creates a very weak, disconnected family. The kids are very, very, very vulnerable to abuse, to scammers, to liars, to whatever. They're not grounded. They're not stable. They might have low self-esteem. They might have all these things, and they might repeat the cycle in the future. The divorce cycle. And this is just divorce, without even adding the common things that are connected to divorce, like abuse and physical trauma and lying and alcoholism, drugs, whatever, cheating, all of these crazy things. So if you add that to the equation, and those are all entries of Shaitan to ruin relationships and marriages through. So let's take an example, like, I don't know, pornography, right? I think pornography is not a shaitanic tool to ruin marriages. It definitely is. It definitely is. In fact, that woman told me that her husband was participating in something like that. And no wonder, right? He wasn't intimate with her for a while. So you can imagine. You can imagine the impact of pornography on men and even women sometimes. So that's just one method of causing divorce. There are many, many, many different methods. And some women who pretend that they care about other women, they dress in a provocative way, they flirt with married men, and they have no problem doing that. And then when that man is enticed, and then he goes either to her and she accepts, which this is the worst example, or he goes somewhere else because she provoked him, she provoked him, and then that woman's marriage is ruined, right? The wife of this man, right? And that woman doesn't even care, right? All she cares about is fulfilling her desires, right? Now, obviously, you can put the blame on the man, of course, because the man, at the end, he ruined his marriage by himself. But that woman was not necessarily helping the wife secure her marriage because she was tempting her man, right? And if you go to the extremes of that, you'll see women actively doing that, actively ruining marriages. And obviously, same thing for men. Some men are actively ruining marriages, flirting with married women, uh, tempting them with their money, things like that. Nice, humble, pleasant women, married women with kids and stuff like that. And he comes in and he lies to her, maybe because her husband hasn't been emotionally available, things like that. And this man comes in and he ruins the marriage. So this man is like a soldier of Shaytan, and he's a Shaytan in and of himself, right? So there are many, many, many different entrances that Shaytan uses to cause divorce, right? I'll leave it to your imagination. There are many different things. And many people actively try to separate people. Actively, right? Because they know a society with a lot of divorces, a fragmented society, as I said, disconnected. This society is very weak and easily controllable. And these, what do you call them? These people, these evil people that want to manipulate everyone and control everyone, they want everyone divided. Divorce is division. They want everyone divided so they can control each piece. You know, like divide and conquer, basically, right? So you divide this family and you conquer each single person alone. You conquer the husband, right? And if I don't know, you put on this husband a lot of stuff, right? A lot of bad stuff, so he never marries again and he becomes miserable, becomes an alcoholic, whatever. And then on the women, same thing, right? Same with the kids. You take these kids, you mold them and shape them to whatever you want because they have no guidance, they have no parents. And even if they have a single parent, that parent is going to be working full time, so they're going to be left alone most of the time, I guess. And even if we're left with a nanny, that nanny, you can't trust that nanny, right? So the point is, a society that is fragmented is very, very, very weak, and that is the ultimate goal of Shaitan, right? We sort of touch upon small details like, I don't know, mommy daddy issues with these kids, and then them repeating the cycle, men, women going through a lot of psychological trauma, financial trauma, all these things during marriage, course, all of those things, right? But these are just some examples. I'm just speaking my mind off here, right? But the basic point is Shaitan loves divorce because divorce is destruction of society, and a society that's so disconnected can't survive, right? On the other hand, a society that's strong, connected, as I said, glued together, right, through stable, happy marriages. No one's trying to cause problems between married people, giving bad advice, giving emotionally charged advice, or men tempting married women, or women tempting married men. Everyone's being nice, respectful, dignified, honorable. You know, these people are married, leave them alone, things like that. This is a happy society that's going to flourish and is going to be a very productive society. No degeneracy, nothing like that. And obviously, people can reach extreme levels of degeneracy where they even like, I don't know, I think this is too much. I'm not going to mention this is too much for this video. But yeah, degenerates hate happy marriages, basically. Stable households, they hate that. They want to, some people are actually very envious and they're full of hatred that they actively want to destroy marriages. I'm not talking about the evil manipulators, the masterminds, the puppeteers, whatever they call them, the people controlling the puppets. No, I'm talking about like just normal people. Some of them are really, really hateful. Maybe they never had a good spouse, so they actively ruin your marriage. It could be like, I don't know, like an older woman who's never married. She hates you because you're a woman who's married and you have kids and you're happy, but you're struggling with a small thing with your husband. She comes in and she tries to destroy your marriage. She doesn't care about you. This thing about like, the brotherhood. I don't know what's the opposite. Like what's the alternative for women? I don't know, womanhood, whatever. Sometimes doesn't exist. It's not real, right? Because if she truly cares about your marriage as a woman, she wouldn't flirt with your husband. She wouldn't dress in a way that would tempt your husband. She would try to secure your marriage. And then same thing for men, right? Some men they hate the fact that you as a man are married and are happy. So he comes in, he tries to steal your wife, and he tries to tempt her and things like that. Evil people, man, that's all I can say. Envious, full of hatred. They don't like you, they don't like stability, they don't like piety, honor, modesty. They hate these things, so they want to destroy marriage. So keep that in mind. And I bet this video is like completely black at this point, but yeah, I need to go pray. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching.